Welcome to week 2 of PADM 401 here at Penn State University Homeland Security Master's Program. I want to welcome some new students that came into the course this past week, and as usual, the first week we usually have some fluidity on people who registered for the course or who registered late for the course, so I want to welcome those folks in. I also want to bring up an issue that's been brought up several times. In the discussion section, I want to make it clear that your initial post is due Thursday. So you have the weekend to respond to your classmates, and they have the weekend to read what you wrote as well and analyze your argument. So initial post is due, again, 11:59 on Thursday. The whole discussion post is due 11:59 on Sunday. So to make that clear from the onset. Announcements. Good job overall. Again, for those of you who did the first discussion, I think I graded it. Most of you have graded it. Some people had some comments for a little bit more improvement, but for the most part, I thought the discussion was very, very clear, very good. What I ask is please keep it up. The nature of the course is that you work hard at the start, and then effort tends to drop off as you go on. I will say this, that the more effort you put into the weekly discussions, the better your papers will be, the more thought you will have ahead of time, so you could think through all the issues that we talk about in class, and so your final products are a lot more clear. So that's a big part of the discussion, is to not just rehash the past week, but to really make you think about what you want to write and what you want to go in detail. Paper topics. I've already gotten a few paper topics, and I've given some feedback on those. Keep the paper topics coming. If you have an idea, please let me know. Again, when we're thinking about paper topics, I'm looking for, not just a rehash of information. I'm looking for analysis. So, the first paper, a lot of people are doing constitutional issues or constitutional and legal issues, and that's great. That's exactly what I'm looking for. But you want to take the constitutional legal issues and apply it to a certain aspect of Homeland Security. Again, the first topic, and I mentioned this several times: federalism, constitution, federalism, and consequence management. Hurricane Katrina, there was definitely federal issues brought out, or constitutional limitations on what the federal government can do. And that had cascading effects on the ability of the federal government and New Orleans, Louisiana, to aid victims of Hurricane Katrina. That's a good paper topic. Legal and constitutional frameworks on aviation security, and I'll talk about that in a second. Great topic. I'll even go as far as to say, because we're talking about constitutional limits and legal framework, the no-fly list, the list that forbids you from flying on an aircraft or boarding an aircraft. There's something, constitutionally is a very questionable action. And, if you fly on if you're put on the no-fly list, you're not given due process. You're not given a trial. Some federal official is saying that you are a hazard or a threat, and you can't engage in commercial aviation. When you think about it, that's quite incredible. When you have the child molesters list, the list that is published for potential pedophiles, that's constitutional questionable. However, those people are still given a trial and given due process. If you're put on the no-fly list, you're given no due process. So there's a constitutional question here that's worth exploring in a paper. So those are the types of issues I'm looking for in papers. Again, constitutional and legal issues applied to a certain sector of Homeland Security. Just current events, and again, I think current events, fortunately, we don't get to talk too much about them in this course, but I think it's worthy of touching on. TSA, the long lines that we see propping up on the news and cropping up on YouTube, the long waits of people trying to board their flights. And that definitely rolls into this week's discussion about trading security for safety, or trading safety for freedom, and what's the proper balance. I'll talk about my own thoughts on this in a second, but then we have to roll it into what happened with Egypt Air this past week. It's unclear again as of I'm talking on Monday night. We don't know yet if it's terrorism. Unfortunately, there's a little bit too much speculation by the mental midgets out there on cable TV. We'll let the investigators decide or make an assessment, which might take days, weeks, or maybe even months. But, again, it's another, if it is terrorism, it still harkens the question, the balance between security and personal freedom. Will we have to endure longer lines? Or will we say that, again, aviation is still a 99.99% chance of being successful or not having casualties? Is that worth the risk? So again, these current events definitely play into even what we're talking about this week. And when I say conduct aviation security, so I'm going to let you in on I used to work at TSA, and an unclassified or its own open secret, the watch lists that you go through when you go on the no-fly list and you try and get on an airplane. You can fake an ID and get on an airplane. And what I mean by that is, let's say Rowan Sharma is on the no-fly list, and I get flagged every time I fly on a list and I get turned back. Well, what's to stop me from creating a fake ID, making me Mike Smith, registering my ticket under Mike Smith, and then going through the line with my ID saying Mike Smith, a fake ID, which kids have been doing since the drinking age has been 21. What's to stop that? Again, not very hard to circumvent the no-fly list or the terrorism watch list. If I were to do aviation security, I would look at your public information based on your travel history that's embedded in the itinerary or embedded in a boarding ticket, and then I would use a little scanner like you would at like the Apple Store, or if you're trying to get on an Army post, and that would give you a signal whether you're a green, red, or yellow. And if you're a green, that means you have a clean travel history, you haven't been to any bad countries, you bought your ticket well ahead of time, you didn't use cash, and there'll be whole other algorithms to use, and you would get less scrutiny. If you're yellow, you get a little bit more scrutiny. If you're red, you get far more scrutiny. This would serve two purposes. It would shorten the length of those lines that, again, are such an issue in aviation security. It would also allow screeners and behavioral analysts and people who check baggage and all those types of people to focus 80% of their effort on the people who are red and are yellow, or who are more dangerous. It also let stewardesses and flight crew identify who are the high risk people and where they're sitting. This is smart security. This is risk-based security. This is accepting a little bit of risk, but actually it's making you safer, because again, you can focus scrutiny on people that are a little bit more suspicious. And it's not racial profiling. It's not saying, oh, that guy looks a little suspicious. It's using masked algorithms that are available based on travel history, whether they purchased on cash, whether they chose certain seats, and they use that to identify potential threats. And I'll also say that next time you go travel, look at the guy who is checking everyone on the X-rays and checking everyone's checked baggage. He's doing that for 8 to 12 hours a day. He or she is. He's not going to pick up everything. He's not going to pick up a lot of things, because he's looking at every bag as if it's the same. If that person knew, I'm going to scrutinize these 10%, these 20% with a lot more scrutiny, they would be more likely to identify knives and other nefarious equipment that's going on aviation security. That's smart security. That would be better, in other homeland security, whether it's container security, immigration, what have you, that would make us not just more convenient, but a lot more safer. And it doesn't use racial profiling. So that's my thoughts. Thought of the day. Great if you want to write a paper on it. That would be a great topic to write a paper on. Or if you want to even just apply it to your current job. So Unit 1 review, again, constitutional foundations. A lot of you mentioned that, of course, there's nothing in the Constitution that delineates Homeland Security, Homeland Security tasks by state, local, federal. There's nothing explicit. They didn't have Homeland Security back in the late 18th century. So you had to derive, again, based on the power to raise money. Someone brought that up. The power to the delineations between federal and state and local officials, enumerated powers that aren't taken by the federal government are left to the states. Ability to raise militias. That's a huge constitutional issue. It is in the Constitution, but whether you can federalize state and local officials is a huge constitutional question. This was brought up in Katrina when we wanted to federalize the Louisiana National Guard. This was brought up in the LA riots, for those of you who remember, back in 1992, where there's issues with federalizing the California National Guard. These are constitutional issues that are brought up that affect Homeland Security. And you need to be clear on that. And these are, again, great paper topics to bring up. And again, great topic, as I said earlier, constitutional principles to each aspect of Homeland Security, whether it's aviation security, consequence management, immigration. Pick your topic of Homeland Security. Take one of the things that you see in the Constitution and see how it plays out in the real world. Again, that's a great paper topic. So previewing Unit 2, again, we shift from the Constitution to the Patriot Act, post 9/11 intelligence reforms. The legal basis that allows us to conduct, the Patriot Act, or the Patriot Act's the legal basis, but allows us to conduct, again, surveillance, the functions of the National Counterterrorism Center, breaking walls between intelligence agencies, DHS fusion centers. I don't think we have anyone here who works on the DHS fusion centers, but those are legislation post 9/11, particularly the 9/11 Commission, called for those institutions to take place for better information sharing. So that's what you're going to look at for this week. You're still going to ask those questions, the limitations of government, but also going to look at how post 9/11 were enacted. And then the discussion is what freedoms should we give up? It's the quote about giving up security for a little bit of freedom, or giving up a little bit of freedom for security. So I'm going to ask you to be specific on where you think the balance is, what you think the United States might have violated since 9/11, or maybe we should be more pushed towards security, and it would have prevented things like the Boston bombing or the San Bernardino incident in this past December. So I look forward to your discussion points, and if there's any questions or issues, please let me know. And if there's just potential paper topics, please let me know.